Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about how you can shake off other people's stuff, other energy, especially for those of you that are out there that are highly sensitive people. As you're doing psychic work, you're open to things, you're picking up on other people's energy, whether that's spirits, non-spirits, just other people around you. And sometimes it feels like you just got everyone else's stuff in your aura, in your energy, and it can be hard to shake sometimes. And so I want to give you a few tips on how to just get into this, get rid of that energy so you can feel centered and grounded again. Now, I don't think that this is just highly sensitive people that encounter this. I think that it's everybody. If you do like a psychic event for a long amount of time, or if you're around somebody that has very open boundaries and they're just kind of vomiting all of their energy on you, anyone is susceptible to this. However, if you identify as an empath or as someone who is highly sensitive, that doesn't mean you're more prone to it. I really think that there is a stigma that comes with the word empath and highly sensitive people, that a lot of people think that because they're that way, they can't control or get a hold on their boundaries. That's not true. It's just you're more open to it and you might have to put a little bit more energy into it. But I do find that the more you understand your boundaries, the more often you do it, the easier that it gets. However, another reason why I've made this video is that I get a lot of comments, a lot of people, even just coming to me for readings, worried that they are being psychically attacked or that someone is remote viewing them, which I don't even really know what that means other than they're just trying to look into your energy. And so if you're worried about that, I would also go check out my psychic attack video and kind of my opinions on that. However, the biggest thing that I want everyone to know from this video is that you have control over your energy, your boundaries. You get to decide what is in your circle, what's in your field, what's in your home. You get to set all of that. And don't let anybody tell you that you don't have control over that. I don't remember the exact quote, but I love the quote from Practical Magic where the guy is talking about how he doesn't believe in curses, so therefore they don't happen to him. And I love that quote because it's so true. If you decide that you're susceptible to this or that, then you're going to be susceptible to this or that. Now, I am not discounting that it can happen. I'm not trying to say that it's all your fault. Absolutely not. However, just remember that this is a belief and intention thing. And with your boundaries are all about intention and belief. If you don't believe that they are set, that they are strong, then you're kind of allowing a loophole for other people's energy, for spirits, for anything to kind of just dump their crap on you, if that makes sense. So let's get into how we can actually remove some of this when you do feel like you just have other people's ick around you. Now, the first step to removing any sort of energy or shaking off someone else's stuff is really first just recognizing when it happens. And it really doesn't matter if, it was placed there intentionally or unintentionally. You just want to get down to the heart of why is this here? Because when you identify why it's happening, it's a lot easier to prevent it and kind of remove that energy. So, for example, that energy could have been invited by you, or it could have just been a spirit that was passing by, noticed you were open, intuitive, and decided to chat. Or it could have been that you were around someone specifically that just kind of was an energy vampire, for example. So all of those are different situations. They are caused by different things. So understanding why will help you realize, oh, shoot, was that me? Were my boundaries too open? Do I need to not be around that person again? Or, oh, this was just a spirit and I need to, close up my bubble just a little bit more. So knowing why it happens is always the first step. So once we know why it's happening, basically there's two things we can do. We can do preventative things, and then we can do things on the back end, assuming it's already happened, to kind of get rid of it. So let's talk about the preventative things first. Now, the first preventative thing, which is I think the easiest and sometimes the only thing you need, is just understanding boundaries. Boundaries are essentially who are you allowing in your space, what are you allowing in your space, and when is that allowed to come into your space. And when I talk about space, this could be your literal home, it could be the place in which you practice and you read, or it could just be your little bubble of energy as you go about, and do your chores, your errands, all of that good stuff. I kind of like to use the analogy of a party for example. So you are having a party, you are inviting people over to that party. However, like, who are you inviting? Are you inviting a bunch of people that you know aren't good for you, that are toxic, they're gonna like destroy your house? And have you told them when they can come? Or are they just going to come whenever? Are they going to stay like hours and hours after you leave? Or are they people that are good for you that know when to leave and will respect your boundary doing so? So really, when you think about your bubble, try to think of it as like your home, your space. Who are you letting in? And is their energy good for you? And when are they allowed to be there? When are they not allowed to be there? And the big thing with boundaries is that they are different for everybody. So, what works for somebody setting a boundary is going to be different for somebody else. And some people might be more comfortable with a different type of energy than another person. So the big thing here is just understanding what boundaries are and how to put them in place. There's a ton of exercises that you can do, intentions you can set, visualizations. I have a whole video on boundaries, so I would just recommend going there for the sake of being brief in this video. But boundaries are something that you can learn, you can educate yourself, you can start doing the exercises, and you can start to have a little bit more control over your party, over your field, over what's coming into your space. So when we think about, setting boundaries in a preventative way, we're setting our boundaries ahead of time before we go into a situation where we know there's going to be a toxic person. We might just set our boundaries on a daily basis so that spirits aren't going to come along and bother us and just kind of like annoy us. Part of boundaries is also knowing, hey, maybe I should not even go to that party. Maybe I should take care of myself and not even like deal with the energy that's here because I know I'm just not prepared and ready to do it. The simplest way you can start setting boundaries now is just imagine your actual field. Imagine that there's a bubble around you, and that bubble, you can feel it out daily, multiple times a day. How big is it? How small is it? What is allowed through your bubble? Is it really firm, or is nothing allowed in your bubble? Or are you allowing some information to come through, some people, some energy? So you get to set this bubble. You get to decide what it looks like, how safe and protected you are. Sometimes we're not even aware of how open we are. And because of that, that's where we get other people's energy coming into our bubbles and really just like leaving their energy there because we're not even aware that we have our own say over our energy. You can also imagine this bubble like having mirrors on the inside of it, so all you can see is yourself. If you're really not feeling safe, you can also like make the bubble like out of bricks, for example. One really fun exercise that I highly recommend you try if you live with somebody else is like setting your bubble, setting your boundaries with a friend. I've showed this in a past video, but basically you set your bubble and you let the person try to come and like touch and feel where your bubble is. And you can kind of get a sense of like, okay, people know where my bubble is. They know how close they can come before it starts to feel uncomfortable. And it's also a good indication too, like, oh crap, maybe I'm way too open. Maybe I let people walk all the way up to me. Sorry, I'm watching a dog right now. I'm watching a friend's dog and it's barking. Let me deal with this. She's like, why aren't you paying attention to me? Okay, where was I? Another boundary exercise that you can do with yourself is just to be aware of your energy and send it to an object, right? And so what you might do is meditate for a moment, become totally aware of your energy. Like, where's your awareness? What does your body feel like? You're feeling both your like physical body, your spiritual, mental self. And then what you're doing is you're finding an object in front of you, like my piano, my keyboard is like right in front of me, for example. So I might imagine sending my whole entire energy to that keyboard and feeling what the keyboard feels like. And I might meditate and keep my energy there for like a minute or two and then pull my energy back to me. And you basically just like do it back and forth. You might find like another object to send your energy to. And really what this is doing is getting you familiar with your energy by having something that's different, and you're seeing the difference between the two of them. Really, with all of these exercises, we want to feel what our bubble feels like, what our energy, what our body feels like. And with like empaths and highly sensitive people, that's hard sometimes because you've got other people's energy in your field. So really what you need to do is kind of clear out your field, understand what you feel like by yourself, and then feel what it's like to have other people's stuff in your field, feel what it's like to feel other objects, other people. So you can even like send your energy to like an animal, for example, with their permission. And you can kind of see like what their energy feels like. And the more you can kind of see the difference, the separation, the more you'll be able to tell as you move on, move forward in life, you'll be able to see, you know what, this is not feeling like me anymore. I know what I feel like, and I don't think this is from me. And then you can check your bubble and you can be like, oh yeah, I'm a little open, or oh shoot, the person that I saw yesterday, their stuff is still with me. Now, when I say like their stuff is still with me, I don't see that personally as like a very like physical thing. It's not like their soul like left a piece onto your like body. Some people talk like that, and I personally just don't believe that that's the case. I think that we keep their energy, the thoughts that we have about them. I think we keep their energy just mentally with us. And so really, when I talk about clearing out their energy, it's not that you don't have control. It's not that there's like a literal chunk of them on you. It's that you are holding on to their energy and you're recognizing that you need to let it go. I hope that makes sense. Now, an extra thing I want to mention too, as like a preventative measure to shaking off other people's energy, is just grounding techniques. And this is more for those of you who feel like you live more in your intuitive mind than in your logical mind. Like it's harder for you to come back to reality. And everyone's different. I feel like I tend to be more on the side of, I have a harder time getting to that reality than the opposite. But like highly sensitive people, empaths, typically you kind of live more up there. Or if you don't, it's just that when you get there, it's hard to come back down to earth. So we call these grounding exercises because we want to bring you back down to the ground so you don't float away, right? If you don't need these, you don't need them. I hardly ever need them. I need the opposite. Can someone make like a floating exercise or something? So in the same video as my boundaries, I think I also have grounding exercises in there. Basically, you just want to do lots of physical things. They're not all physical, but things that will bring you back down to earth. So like bare feet in the grass, hugging a tree, going out in nature, like getting back to your normal day-to-day life, which could be like doing dishes, taking out the trash, like cleaning your home. That's a really good way to get grounded. Washing your hands, taking a shower. There's more kind of like meditative grounding exercises that you can do. But, at the core level, just try to think about it as being like rooting into the earth, coming back to the earth. So I like to think of very like physical things that you can do. So if you're a highly sensitive person, that might be something to add to your routine so that you can feel like you're more grounded. So the other half of removing this kind of stuff is the disconnecting part. So this is assuming maybe you did do all the preventative stuff, maybe you didn't, but you're basically walking away from a situation and realizing, oh crap, I got someone else's stuff on me, whether it be spirit, whether it's like just from a reading, or you're just around somebody who's just an energy vampire, something like that. You're realizing, oh crap, I did it again. Totally normal. I mean, even me, like after like 3-4 hours of doing like event readings, sometimes the only thing I can do is come home and like go outside and put my feet in the grass. So there's not like a problem with this. It's more just if you allow yourself to stay there, that's when it becomes a problem. And basically I call all of these exercises disconnecting exercises. You're disconnecting from the psychic source, from your psychic ability, from the energy that you were like around. You're disconnecting from it and coming back to yourself, making sure your energy is clean and clear. We always want to end any sort of intuitive work by disconnecting. Now, some great disconnecting exercises, like the simplest one, resetting your bubble. Sometimes that's all it takes is just, being like, okay, everything out, just visually imagine like pushing your energy out, or energy that's not yours, I should say, and resetting that bubble. Again, maybe it's made of mirrors. That's a really simple intention you can say. Another thing you can do is just put your hand over your solar plexus. My energy is with me, your energy is with you. Bam, done. It's just like an affirmation that you say out loud, and that can be just enough, I really like doing cord cutting meditations. So there's tons of people on YouTube that have cord cutting meditations. Basically, you're just visualizing the connection that you might have to someone, something else, which could be a situation too. You know, you can have residual energy from a situation, not necessarily a person. And so you're visually imagining a cord between you and that person, situation, spirit, and you're kind of working through a meditation of severing those cords. And I kind of like doing this because sometimes it brings up things of like, you didn't know you were like connected to them in that way. Like you notice that there's a cord coming from your heart to their heart, and you're realizing, oh, I'm actually like really hurt that I'm losing this person, for example. And because of that, you know, you might not have gone into those feelings, and the cord cutting meditation might have made you more aware of it, which makes it easier to kind of cut those ties. Cord cutting too, you can actually do this with like 2 candles and like tie a literal cord around them. I've done it once. I can't remember which video I did it in, but it was so much fun. It was so cool to do. Anyways, cord cutting, whether visual, mental, however you want to do it, is also a great exercise to disconnect. Another thing you can do is ask your guides for help. So you can have them step in and say, hey, Archangel Michael, I like to use Michael for protective stuff. Like, hey, can you come help me clear out this energy? And just like sit, meditate, and see what he does. Another thing you can do is use like a funnel. Imagine that there's like a funnel that just like plugged into the top of your bubble, and it's sucking out all the negative energy. You're setting the intention that that's what's happening, and you can just visualize it happening, close up your bubble again, and you're like, all right, clean and clear. Taking a bath is another great way to kind of like feel, you know, that energy actually come off of you. You can put like Epsom salts in the bath. Like there's a lot of people that say, oh, you got to put this and that and this and that in the bath. I think it's all about intention. You can put whatever you want in there. You can put nothing in there. However, like when you drain the bath, just imagine all the negativity also draining down the drain. Lay in the bath until it's all gone. You can also do this with a shower too, if you aren't like able to lay down in a bath. So imagining all of the water like dripping down, taking all of the negative energy off, somebody else's energy off. It's a visualization and an intention at the same time. Sometimes, like if I'm in between readings and I need to shake off somebody's energy, I can go inside and just like wash my hands. And sometimes I'll, you know, do a mini like, okay, all of their energy's off, sending it down the drain, right? Another thing you can do is actually literally like wipe off your body. When I was in the Aspen program, this is one of the tools that my coach gave to us. And some people took it all the way to the end of the course. They loved that. They loved physically wiping themselves down so that they felt like they were literally physically like pushing the energy off of themselves. Sometimes you need to get more physical with it because it just makes you feel safer, and that's totally okay. Getting body work done is also really good, especially if you feel like maybe you need some extra help. You can go see somebody that does Reiki, and they can really like help you work through that. There's all sorts of like body work therapy that you can do that's like intuitive. My go-to usually first is to just journal and meditate on it. You know, like what's going on here? Why do I have this energy here? I might pull some cards, and then I might realize, oh, it's that thing that happened. I'm kind of attached to that still. I need to release it. If some of these things don't work, I might actually like go into something further, again, like shaking it off, doing a bath. Sometimes, you know, it'll be really easy to get rid of that energy. Sometimes it's going to be a little bit tougher. Sometimes it might take a couple times, and that's totally okay. Just remember here that with both like preventing and trying to disconnect from this energy, belief and intention, again, are everything. Because if you feel like what you're doing isn't working, then yeah, it's not going to work. So much of this comes from, you know, the belief and the idea that it can be done. And again, if you like have a like belief that it's not going to work, there's a little loophole there for that energy to basically like stay. So you really have to find your own inner power and your own inner belief that you can do this. And I promise that you can. I've seen so many people do it. It's all about confidence. And, you know, sometimes this stuff is a little bit harder to work through, and it's totally okay to go see someone to get some help. I would not encourage you to see a psychic about some of the stuff that's like more traumatic, you know, some past stuff that really needs healing, you know, that can definitely contribute to like you being more open and letting in negative energy. And sometimes, you know, journaling and meditating is not enough to work through that kind of stuff. So know to get help from the right types of people when you need it, because sometimes these exercises just honestly will not work. And I don't want to like scare anybody out there, but I do think that not enough people are talking about this. You know, they're saying, hey, get into the psychic ability, do this, oops, you know, jump in, get excited. But sometimes there are people out there, highly sensitive people, that have a really hard time shutting it down. First step for you guys is going to be turning it off completely. But if you do feel like you have control over it, it's just going to be a daily, weekly practice of setting those boundaries, again, being preventative when it does happen, disconnect from it, clear your energy. You can do this just like anyone else. There's no like, it's a harder time for you. You know, again, intention. What are you telling yourself? Why are you saying you can't disconnect from that energy that's in your field? So really, this is a very self-reflective thing. You might have to dig deep. That's totally okay. But the important thing is, you know, you have the steps to do it. You know, you have some exercises. So start doing them now, make it a daily habit, and you will find that you won't be inundated by other people's stuff so often. And if you want even more exercises and tips, definitely check out my video courses on psychic development, because I go very heavily into protection and boundaries, because if you don't have that, the whole foundation, you know, is just not there. So check those out if you want additional information. Also feel free to jump over on Patreon, where I have more content. I also have coaching Q&As every single month. So if you're having questions, if you have struggles, lots of people ask about that. And, you know, you can go back to past archives of videos and get some more information from me over there. So let me know in the comments down below, what is your favorite way to make sure you keep your bubble clean and clear? It might actually help somebody else that's in the comments. So if you all enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up. It helps my channel a ton. And I will see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.